What's up, baseliners? We got another great episode coming your way today. Sit back, relax, and welcome to the show.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Baseline Facetime podcast. I am your host, Manny, with my other host, Troy. Today, we have a great episode for you. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you also leave a subscribe and listen to us every week on Fridays when we upload. And let's go into the show.
Let's get it rolling, man.
Yeah, I'm doing good. But you know what? You ever hear that saying, when a horse is over the hill, you got to put him out of his misery because he's too old?
Of course.
Well...
Why do you bring that up?
You want to know why I bring it up? Well, we all know that The Last Dance was pretty amazing, right? A good documentary. So I figured they didn't keep in the wizard years, which makes sense. But I mean, it got me thinking, was Michael Jordan over the hill in his wizard years? What do you think, Troy?
So, in terms of age, of course, so he entered with the Wizards at 38 in 2001. Mm-hmm. And, I think in terms of age, he was up there and no longer had the athleticism, no longer, the Michael Jordan, but he was producing numbers if you look at it. So let's see, in his first year with them, I think he averaged 23 a game, and he spent 2 seasons with them. Second year, he averaged 20. So,
for 38, that's impressive. Let's be real here.
Exactly.
I mean, to me, when I think about Michael Jordan as a Wizard, everybody wants to discredit him and say it's not fair that he is a bull at heart, which is true. He is a bull. Let's be honest, the greatest bull of all time, the greatest player of all time. But the only reason he got the 30,000 points scored was because he increased his longevity as a Wizard too, playing. And let's think about it. Some people go to the NBA and they don't even get the chance to average 20 points. But him at 38? 38. Was doing it easy peasy because, you know what? He might not have the flight no more, but he still had the skill and knowledge of the game. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think Michael Jordan's Wizard years are underrated more than any. I enjoy him as a Wizard. It's cool to see those because it's the HD was just rolling around, so the games aren't looking as disgusting as the 50s games when they're all black and white and making weird passes and stuff.
Yeah, I think for Michael, it's not the storybook ending with the Wizards. So keep in mind, with the Wizards, just 2 years. He entered into a Wizards team that had won 19 games the previous year. So they were 19-63 when Michael came. When Michael came and joined them, better than 18, better than some Sixers teams as of recent. And then, they didn't make the playoffs or anything. He did reach 30,000 then with the Wizards.
Yes, he did.
And so, pretty significant milestone there, of course, that he was able to reach with them. I think, but it's not the storybook ending that he had because if you remember, and obviously Last Dance talks about it, he had the fairy tale ending. He had the childhood dream ending, hitting the game winner in Game 6 to secure his 6th ring, his second three-peat. It was perfect. And then he ruined it.
Me personally, I'm not a fan. The more you get to see Michael Jordan, the more I think you get to enjoy of it. I mean, me personally, yes, it's not as that childhood dream that everybody dreams of, which everybody was amazed and astounded that he got to do, because it wasn't just him killing it on offense. He also swiped the ball from Carmelo on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was more I want to see him play more. I want to see how much longer he can keep going. And basically, I want to go until the wheels fall off. I think that's how it should go. And I think even Michael even said he wanted to do that too. You keep being the champ until you're not the champ no more. And I think that even got taken away from him. Even he mentioned it in The Last Dance where Phil got an offer to come back. This is the last episode of it. And Phil's yeah, no, I'm not doing it. But then the film crew shows Michael this footage of him. Of Phil getting an offer, and then if you look at his eyes kind of buckle a little bit, and he looks like he had no idea that Phil got an offer. It looked like the front office didn't even try to approach him, and Phil didn't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So I think Michael kind of got robbed out of one more championship, in probably 1999. I don't know about 2000s though. The Lakers were just an astounding team then, but I mean, not everybody gets that, childhood ending, but I mean, I don't think Michael wanted that.
True. And I think it's interesting, The Last Dance. And so we've all gone, crazy over this Last Dance, especially with those other sports going on. This is it, And one thing that stuck out to me, or maybe a point that you were aware of, but you never got the full insight of it, is in the fact that it was called The Last Dance. It's the fact that it was known. Like they told Phil Jackson, you can win 82 games this year, you're not coming back. Like it was it. Yeah. Like that was it. And that's something that stuck out to me from The Last Dance. And so, Jordan got this storybook ending, and then he comes out of retirement with the Wizards. And the thing about his time with the Wizards is he did perform, like we just mentioned. Statistically, he did a good job. He obviously brought something to a team in desperate need of it, coming off a 19-win season. Oh God! And one thing that sticks out to me from the Michael Jordan years, or something that I think is just fascinating and very like Jordan-esque, is so in 2001, just after Christmas, he scored a career low 6 points. 6 points for Michael Jordan, and that also snapped his 866 game streak of scoring in double figures. That's a lot of games.
That is absurd.
That is absurd. But you know what he did 2 nights later?
What is it, 54?
He dropped 51.
Okay, I was close.
He dropped 51 2 nights after that. That's just Michael Jordan.
See, Michael needs to be challenged. If you even look at who his personality is, he made up narratives in his head to motivate him. All you had to do was motivate Michael, which surprising to me was who was the coach of the Wizards team, because he said he would never play for another coach than Phil Jackson, so that was pretty surprising too. And plus, I think he was bored. What are you going to do? You got the storybook ending, what do you do now? I think Michael, more than anything, has struggled to find his next in life. What do you do after basketball? Just sits at home and drinks. And then debates sometimes. I mean, he's the owner of the Hornets still, right?
Yeah.
But he's not really doing anything there. But honestly, as a Wizard, though, I personally count him as a Wizard. I think he's because who else do the Wizards have as all-timers?
No Chill Gill.
West Onsall.
Yeah. And
that's about it.
Yeah.
Personally, I liked him as a Wizard. I thought that was cool.
Bowl.
That's sad.
Yeah, so that kind of answers my next question for you. Mm-hmm. His impact, or the impact that his time with the Wizards has had on his career, what do you think?
It helped him get to 30,000 points, so I think it more helped him than hindered him. And I think seeing highlights of him as Wizards, which I think we all see on Instagram and stuff like that, he could still play. He was still crafty, and he wasn't dominating by air anymore, but he was dominating by just outsmarting you, by knowing how to make you jump before you leaving your feet. Then he goes around you and hits a mid-range and pops it in. You know what I mean? You
said the key word there. He was crafty. He had to be. Yeah. He absolutely had to be crafty in order to be able to do what he did with them. Or even, at 38, 39, similar to some other guys, obviously, that we've seen in the league at an old age. It's different looking at their early years. You don't jump as easy. You don't get up as easy. You're not as fast. You can't get around these guys. Like even Kobe in his later years. I mean, he had to earn his buckets more so than just relying on his, dominating,
athletically,
his athleticism, that kind of thing. And, it's kind of similar with Michael Jordan, of course. And so I think on his, his legacy, he reached some milestones. Yeah, he did produce. It would have obviously hurt him had he reached 30,000 points, but he averaged 8 points a game. He was able to do it while producing still at a decent rate. Not the Michael Jordan of old, but he was able to produce in several different ways. And I think just legacy impact, for myself and even for a lot of people, I think you're going to say, okay, you'd rather go out on your second three-peat, winning your 6th ring. And I get it. Michael wanted something to prove. He wanted to come out and show that he could still do it. He wanted, he was bored, like you said. But, man, I want to mess with that storybook ending. Especially going to the Wizards knowing you're not going to go anywhere with them. I want to mess with it.
See, that's my next thing is apparently it's not okay to ring chase when you're in your prime, but it's okay to ring chase when you're old. So what team do you think he should have went on to at that particular time if he had a shot at winning a championship?
Would have been crazy to see him on the Lakers, huh?
It would have. I mean, in my opinion, I think the only two teams that really in the West at that time would either be the Lakers or Spurs if you really wanted a serious shot at the title. Mm-hmm. So see him with Tim Duncan and David Robinson for the last run or something like that, or him, helping Kobe out a little bit longer. That is a crazy what if he decided to go to a team that actually got a shot. You know what I mean? And he would have more rings.
That would have been pretty wild. I think Iverson sure could have used his help, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, he was with the Sixers at that time.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. So I don't know. I mean, I think, there's someone in another sport that this Michael Jordan Wizards tenure, which we're bringing up today, which is, different. Not everyone talks about the Michael Jordan Wizard years, but there's another reason that we can even bring it up right now, and a lot of people are even talking about it right now, is because of comparison to another person in another sport, and that's Tom Brady. And we haven't seen what Tom Brady's going to do with the Buccaneers yet, but it's a very, very, very similar thing.
Can I say something very controversial right now? I think a quarterback is overrated. Me personally. The reason why is I feel like where you should really focus on the NFL wise, if I'm owning a team, this is my preference. I will get an average quarterback, but I would more focus on my wide receivers and then on my front line. That's where I think that's because if they could buy you more time and if they're quick enough to get open under a shorter span of time, all you're doing is throwing a ball. I get that it's really fast. I'm not trying to undermine Patrick Mahomes or anybody like that or Russell Wilson, but all you got to do is run and throw. You know what I mean? And the play's already thrown up for you too, right?
It ain't that easy.
Again, I've never played quarterback. I've never played football, but I feel like my personal preference, I would rather have a better offensive line and wide receivers.
Well, a decent, good, great Tom Brady quarterback would say the same. They want a great group of receivers in the front line too, and they make their job easier. That's a fact.
True.
So I'll agree with you in that aspect that I think everyone would like. Any quarterback would say it makes their job easier to have a good O-line, to have a good running back beside them, to have a good receivers that they can go to that they know are going to get open, and even if they're not open, they can throw to them, right? It's a guarantee. What I do think as well is that the quarterback position isn't overrated. I think it's
hyped.
No, emphasized in the football realm where they have so much pressure on them. Like
Sure.
if your team has a bad record, boom, quarterback's fault. Exactly. And so I think with Brady playing the position of quarterback and playing so for just so many years, the dude is 42 years old, going finally to a new team.
Do you think he's the greatest quarterback of all time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that is because some of the similarities that he has with Michael. So Michael's, really the undisputed GOAT in a sense. And they both have 6 rings. Michael leaves Chicago, retires, comes out of retirement, goes to the Wizards. Tom Brady doesn't retire, contemplates retirement, but 6 rings later, he finally, in his old age, decides to try a new team, goes to the Buccaneers at 42.
Well, I guess when we bring up Tom Brady, we also have to bring up the man who helped make Tom Brady. Tom Brady is Bill Belichick. I mean, I think for this scenario, we're really going to find out if Tom Brady's as good as Tom Brady is because Tom Brady was the 4th round, 44th pick, something really late, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's so apparently from what I heard, the reason why he went to the Buccaneers was he was complaining that backup quarterback was getting something like more minutes or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Fact check this stuff, guys. But basically is we're really going to see. It's I'll use a basketball example, right? Do you think Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker would be as good as if they had Pop? Or would they just fade away and just be guys that are okay and maybe spark up a couple of nights? Maybe. Because that's how I look at it as. Is it Bill Belichick that helped make Tom Brady, or was Tom Brady already a star? And he was getting mad that the Patriots are an organization that basically, once they get what they need from you, they're going to discard you and throw you away in the trash and not give you anything in return. That's just the Patriots way, but you can't get mad at the Patriots way because that's what helped get you so many rings. You know what I mean? So it makes sense on why he left the organization because he's over the hill and they're not going to give him what he wants anymore. But we're really going to find out, was it Bill Belichick's magic or Brady's magic? That's the real thing. But with Michael, we always knew it was Michael. Hands down.
That's for sure. And I mean, it's known how much Brady and Belichick helped each other. I think that we will see a glimpse of it. Okay, how good is Brady going to be without Belichick? How good is Brady going to be without Belichick? That'll be a lot of the conversation. But the dude's 42 years old. If he goes out there and doesn't perform, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be, he's already in that old age. He's already slowing down anyway, even when he was with the Patriots. And I don't put too much stock into the fact that if Brady goes down to Tampa and doesn't play well, it's because of Belichick. It's because he doesn't have Belichick. Like, yeah, there'll be some areas we can see that, but the dude's old. The dude is already kind of going, he's not putting up the numbers that he is used to. And so I think there'll be, some glimpses of that. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, the Buccaneers they got a decent team around him. They really do. And Gronkowski comes down and joins them. And so we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, what was up with that? You just felt like, I'm done on being on TNT. I just want to go back to the field?
Yep.
Dude, he's a partier guy. You ever hear stories about him? He got Rick Ross drunk. I couldn't believe it. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I'll say this about Tom. Tom Brady, what is he, 42 you said? That is absurd, but like one thing that he said to me, one thing that he said in like an interview was that basically that I heard was he goes, I have all the answers to the test. Why would I stop taking it now? So he understands how to get an average team. I think he understands now more than ever how to get the most out of his teammates and not make them average and how to make them above average. And that's what you need in a leader more than anything. So I think, and it'd be amazing to see too, but you kind of can't leave out Patrick Mahomes too. If the Buccaneers actually did make it to the Super Bowl and then the Patriots made it there, and then and they're going head to head with each other, right? Now you're really going to see who is the star. Would it be Belichick or would it be Brady? That's what I would like to see more than anything.
That would be cool. As much as I don't think either team is going to do well, that would be very cool to see. One other thing with Tom Brady, so the guy who's replacing Jameis Winston, who just led the league in almost everything, yards, touchdowns, interceptions. He is most notably interceptions. I'm pretty sure that Brady either had a worse or about the same quarterback rating this year as Jameis Winston. Again, the dude who led the league in interceptions. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Brady does. Again, without Belichick, again in a different setting. And it's weird. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of him in a Buccaneers jersey, but it's just like that does not look right. It's like Michael in a Wizards jersey. It's like, what the heck's going on? And so I think it's even again the comparison between the two, going with 6 rings, being in an old age, whatever, trying to kind of prove something. He's trying to prove something, and it's probably going to be a similar ending. Brady might produce, but he's probably going to play 2 years like Michael did. He's 42. I don't see him going, 5 more years or anything crazy. It's going to be 2-3 years. And so it's going to be weird to see him in a Buccaneers jersey.
I'm excited to see him as a Buccaneer, though. It's different. That's what I like. I like things that are different. I don't like things that are the same for too long. Because if it's different, it shakes it up.
You know what's different?
What's different?
The NBA season.
That is too different.
That is very different.
I don't like that different.
I don't like that different either. But there's some things going around. I don't know if you've seen, but
Jokic losing weight? Yes, I've seen it.
Jokic
It's terrifying.
Weight, and he's got the virus. So there's a lot of dudes.
He got the COVID?
Yep.
He got the COVID. Oh, no.
There's a lot of dudes on several teams that are going to Orlando that have the virus.
The Kings.
So about half the Kings roster.
What have they been
has
doing?
the virus. I don't know what they're doing, but there's at least 3 or 4 of them, maybe not half. But it's funny, you see these videos on Instagram. Buddy Hield, most notably, who's just hooping, summer hooping wherever he can find in a packed out gym.
Bam, got the Rona.
Got it. Same with Malcolm Brogdon. He's got it. He's on a good contending team in the Pacers. Derrick Jones Jr. with the Heat. A couple unnamed Suns players. And so there's a lot of dudes coming down with that. And the reason is obviously because tests are happening. They're preparing to go down to Orlando. And so what do you think is going to be the impact of more and more positive tests before they head down to Orlando?
I look at it as this, though. They are not us. They are super athletes. They are the highest paid athletes in the world and the best league in the world. I mean, Europe's catching up, but I mean, to them it's a common cold. I get it for their families, children, and older people. I get that. So, I mean, if they're going to be just isolated with just them playing, I think the NBA might do it, mainly because money really talks and they don't want to lose any more money. And most of all, I think for the most part, they'll be fine. I mean, like, what is it, COVID? I'm not smart in COVID at all, but I'm pretty sure it just affects, like, younger people, older people. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, with them being super athletes and having the immune systems that they have, I think they'll just be fine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think they'll definitely be fine as who they are, but it's the fact that, family and these kind of things that we have to worry about, of course. But, I think if they can make it down to Orlando, I don't know the exact date in July that the teams are supposed to arrive, and then there's there's these things in place to self-quarantine, to practice, in individual gyms and these kind of things that are in place. I think the more and more positive tests that we're going to see, I'm a little worried. Every time I see on my phone,
they'll cancel?
Every time I see on my phone, I'm like, another one.
What are you, DJ Khaled?
What happens when LeBron James gets it?
Oh, if the King gets it, it's over for me. I don't care. It's done. I'm throwing off my Lakers jersey. I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna curl up in a ball.
So it's I don't know. It's a little scary. I think if they can make it to Orlando with whoever they got going down, then they're going to be fine. There's a couple players who are actually opting out. They don't have the Rona, but they're just saying, you know what, I'm out. A couple players on some contending teams, and Trevor Ariza and Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley's could be a big hit for you guys because he's a good defender.
Yeah, we kind of need him.
He's a good defender. He said, I'm out. He said, I'm not playing. So.
Hey, man, listen. Now that people are really starting to come out with tests and stuff like that, it's a whole different ball game and a whole different scenario now. So hopefully the NBA will have a system in place to help us through that. But odds are, if at this rate, if more people keep getting it, that really blows my mind that Sacramento, half their team has it. That is what are you guys doing? Spitting in each other's drinks?
It feels like half of them have it. That actually, so you said something in place.
Yeah.
The NBA has something in place that I think is just
genius,
hilarious.
What is it?
They have the quote-unquote the COVID-19 violation hotline.
You're kidding.
I know you've heard of it. I call it the Orlando snitch hotline. So what it is, it's an anonymous hotline that
they're what's his name, Tekashi 6ix9ing each other. That's what they're doing. They're snitching on each other now.
Exactly. So I think it's for players, coaches, whoever's down in Orlando for the NBA. There's an anonymous hotline you can call, and because there's a lot of protocols in place. There's a lot of things in place. NBA players can do this. They can't do this. They can go here. They can't go here. This place is closed. This isn't. There's, a lot of things in place, and I guess if someone sees someone violating it, they can call the hotline. Thoughts?
I could just see all the best players in the world. Hey, LeBron's got it. Hey, Paul George got it. Hey, CP3's got it. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's a very weird. It's very flawed. It's a system, but it's flawed. I mean, because how do you really know? Because that means you're in the vicinity of somebody, or you're, I guess, FaceTime. I mean, it's just stupid. I don't see how it would really affect anything. Let's be real. Let's call it for what it is. It's just a stupid system to be like, hey, we have something, so you know what I mean? So we're not really making people play in unfair conditions. You know what I mean?
I think it's hilarious because, like you said, hey, LeBron was out at the bar at 9 p.m. Curfew's at 8:30. Because that's literally the type of thing that this is. It's a violation hotline, meaning they're violating this 100-page rule book.
It's anonymous, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And so there's some funny memes and stuff out there of LeBron saying, "Oh, I just saw Kawhi and Giannis out at the pool past curfew," or things like that. And so
I just saw CP3 and Giannis just spit in each other's mouth. I think they got COVID.
So that is going to be interesting.
Can we just acknowledge what a weird time in history we are in right now during a global pandemic in the 21st century? This is I thought we would never see this day, honestly.
You never think you will until you're in it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what a weird time to be born. Yeah, you were born during a pandemic, kid. You're lucky you weren't there. Why? People had to wear masks. You couldn't go anywhere. It was terrible. Sports was canceled. Oh God! Even the kid gets scared. The sports is a big deal. I mean, sports is an escape for people. It's people find like friends throughout it. Basketball's amazing. Let's be real, everybody. Most of like it's like the second popular sport in the world. Soccer being number one. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like this whole COVID thing really just threw a wrench in every league's plans. And I mean, there's no plan that or system that you could put in place in order to have like a solid solution for it. At this point, take one for the team. If you really care about basketball that much, just take one for the team play.
I think even the impact in looking back, 20 years from now or whatever, we're going to laugh at it. But like today, I was upset. So I went to Best Buy today, just trying to look around. Best Buy finally opened up here in New York. We're in phase whatever. I don't even know.
I think we're in 2.
I think we entered 3, actually.
Oh,
I
3?
think. But I don't know what the differences are. I don't, it's just...
You're allowed to eat out some places, not all.
Ate
Wendy's.
in yesterday.
Really? Yeah. Oh, Wendy's?
No, just some place in Patchogue.
Oh, okay.
But, so I go to Best Buy, and just the things in place, I guess they're limiting how many people can go inside. So I'm standing in, a line of, 4 people. I knew it wasn't going to be a long time, so when one person goes out, one person can go in. One person goes out, one person goes in. So finally it's my turn, and the dude, I gave him a little attitude, I think. I don't know. I was just, upset by the whole thing. Why? These other stores are packed, so why is Best Buy being so strict? So he looks at me, just looks at me, waiting for me to say something. I'm like, because I'm about to be in the door. I'm like, what am I supposed to say? What do you want me to say? Am I supposed to say what I'm looking for? Am I supposed to say that I'm picking up an order? I was like, what do you want me to say? And so he laughed, and he was just like, well, what are you looking for or whatever? I was like, I don't know. I'm just here to browse around. Might look for some podcast stuff. He said, okay, you can browse around. I was like, all right, cool.
Was he a security guard?
No, he was a Best Buy worker, just limiting who can come in, who can, because they have, X amount of people can enter into the store at one time. I'm just I was blown away. I walked in and I was like, dude, this is nuts. Because other stores, that's the first one I've entered where it's like that. Obviously, you go to restaurants for pickup and, grocery stores, and they're all different. But that was the most, procedural, system of allowing you into a store. It was very strange.
Dude, no, it's not just Best Buy. It's all the other ones too. I went into TJ Maxx, my old job, just to go see something. And then they had a sign 75 people in, and I got to cheat. I just basically cut the line. Be like, nah, I used to work here. I just need to see my old boss. That's how I did. That's how I got in. Yeah. But it is a pandemic. But also these masks, they don't really do anything for a certain you really need a certain type of mask. I saw a thing on it. I don't know how accurate it was, but it was a really something that you would see in the movies, and there's radiation everywhere, kind of like a radiation suit type mask, and that's what they said. That's what you really should be wearing. This is just to limit the distance and stuff like that. So it does have some purpose, but at the same time, it's come on, at this point, wouldn't most of the world have it? I don't know what the count is now, but
and it's so places are opening up, states are opening up more and more and more, and then it's people are shocked that numbers are going up. Of course numbers are going to go up when there's more people together. It's just, at some point.
Are we even close to anywhere near a cure for it?
I have no idea. Yeah. What I do know is that, so again, we're in New York, we're on Long Island, and New York has even different zones of opening up. So upstate New York is more open than we are, and New York City is a little less than we are. But on Long Island, recently, I guess it's been almost 2 weeks now, barbershops are back, and I needed a haircut bad.
We needed that fresh cut, and we got it.
Yep. Lonnie's Barbershop in Patchogue, dude, I'm telling you.
New York style barbers on 112. Shout out to you guys. That was ESPN. They are not getting a free promo right now.
But Lonnie, man, he's that dude. So I went to him when I heard barbershops were about to close in March. It was okay, barbershops have to close the next day. I set an appointment. I was I got to get to Lonnie. Hadn't seen him in 3 months. Hair was looking rough. Finally got in, and a couple days after he opened back up, and it was good. It was good to be back. So I needed a haircut bad. You needed a haircut bad.
Dude, it was bad.
And we got him.
Wearing hats. Mm-hmm. I rarely ever wear hats.
My hair looks so good right now. I'm wearing a hat. That's how
You always wear hats. You go into Troy's closet, guys, you'll literally see a mountain of hats. It's ridiculous, and I've never even seen him wear all of them. That's the first time I'm seeing that hat today.
I don't think I've seen myself wear all of them, to be honest. But yeah, I love hats, and I love my barber. Yeah, so we've got a cool little news segment that we're gonna do every so often, periodically, whatever you want to say. You want to introduce it?
The one I came up with today. Got you. So today we're gonna do a new segment called. When you forget the name of your own segment, who you taking?
Who you taking? What's
Who you
that?
taking? So the whole premise of who you taking is we're gonna do a scenario, probably a scenario that neither player has ever been in. But actually, I found out today this scenario. T Mac has actually been in this scenario. But for the most part, we're gonna take two players, put them head to head, put them in scenarios, match up their stats, how many times they played against each other, or what would happen if they played each other's skill set, who had a bigger impact on the game and stuff like that, and to see who was the better player and who you would take personally. So for me, I'm taking T Mac. Who you taking for today?
Well, it depends on what the situation is.
Game 7.
So they're gonna be like situational segments, so it can like defer actually.
Yeah.
So we're doing Carmelo versus T Mac in a scenario. You're in the finals.
Yep.
Okay, so let's picture T Mac and Carmelo are in the finals, and your team needs buckets. Who you taking? And so it can be very very different each time. It might be like a literal one on one head to head. It could be a literal like you need someone to shut down Joel Embiid in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You can pick you can pick a center from any time period. Who you gonna take? That kind of thing. And so Carmelo or T Mac, you're saying you're taking T Mac if you need buckets in the finals.
Hell yes. T Mac all the way.
Why?
What? What? The man is literally known for the greatest comeback of all time. 13 points in, what was it, 30 seconds?
33 seconds. One time.
One time. That's all you need is one time to build up confidence to do it a second time. I mean, like, how far was Melo made at the Western Conference? That's it?
Shut up. I love T Mac, no hate, but Melo is one of my favorites, and he didn't used to be early on in his career. I wasn't like a huge Melo fan, but like I don't know, as of just like the last couple years, like not how he's played the last couple years, of course, but just looking back at his career and looking back at some of his highlights and just how he did it, because they're similar guys in terms of position, in terms of height, in terms of scoring ability in a sense, but they're very different in how they did it.
What, T Mac and Melo?
Yeah, how they got buckets, and just the way that like Melo wasn't this super athletic dude. T Mac on the other hand is just a little different in terms of how they went about their business. So of course there are similarities in their mid range game and things like that, but Melo was never. His athleticism was never like his calling card.
Right. It was more of his fadeaway mid-ranger, create space.
Exactly. Especially later on in his career. But, early, of course, he had some highlights where he can poster a guy or two.
Yeah, but if you look at those dunks, they're posterizing, but just barely.
Yeah.
Like, they're not crazy. Like, my hand's already, like, let's say this is the rim, right? Melo's just right here, but T-Mac was right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So they did it a different way in a sense. But, I'm taking Melo, especially because I would love to have seen, or still see if he gets a chance, for Melo to get a ring.
It's not happening.
That would be cool.
It's not happening. I like Melo. I got no hate for Melo. I think he's got one of the best jumpers of all time, and he's obviously got the best mid-range game of all time. The only person I could think of that does the mid-range game better than him is Michael and Kobe.
Yep, mid-range hesitation, just back it down, one dribble fade. I mean, he had so many his footwork. You've seen videos even of him recently, like teaching some young guys his footwork, and it's just like, dude, this guy gets it. And I mean, he just did it in a few different ways. Man, in an ISO situation mid-range, I would love to see them even head-to-head to trade a few buckets, the two of them. So it's interesting, in a comparison head-to-head. So they had some overlap in their career.
Was it like 7 years?
So 7, 8, maybe 9 years of overlap playing, during the same era. And in their 19 matchups, head-to-head, Tracy McGrady got the best of them, 10-9. Hey, so very close head-to-head. So T-Mac and Carmelo, again, over their careers, or over their career head-to-head, Carmelo averaged 23 a game, T-Mac 19, and again, head-to-head, 10 versus 9 wins for Carmelo. So T-Mac got the advantage in their few meetings over their career. So it's interesting. Again, who you taking?
I'm taking T-Mac every time.
T-Mac every time. I'm taking Melo. Love Melo, dude. Love him. Absolutely love that guy, dude.
He's not bad. He's not bad.
He is not bad, and he's a bucket getter, and that's why I love him. So that's kind of, again, what this segment is going to be like. We're just going to break down usually one or two guys, put them in different scenarios, put them in different situations, and kind of just voice our opinion on who we would take. And so that's why it's called Who You Taking?
Who you taking?
Sound good?
Yeah, I like it.
You know what else happened this day in sports history? So the Spurs won their very, very, very first title, 1999.
Really? Nah, I knew that already. We watched a video on it. we literally, jeez, I can't speak no more. We watched an Instagram video of it, literally, of Avery Johnson hitting the shot in the corner, which is hard against the New York Knickerbockers. It's very sad.
Yep, Avery Johnson hit the game winner from the corner, like you said, and Tim Duncan won Finals MVP, his first ring of 5, and obviously we know the career that he's had, and the Spurs dynasty even. At the beginning there.
Isn't it crazy to think that they're a dynasty even though they didn't win consecutively? Like, they won every other year.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
It's just a testament, I think, to the longevity of it.
Yeah.
Similar to a guy like Tom Brady that we talked about. He obviously got a couple back-to-back and things like that, but, his first ring and his last ring, years and years and years apart, which just speaks to the longevity.
I guess it shows you how dominant you are.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Absolutely. So, I think that's all we got planned today. Great show, of course, and some interesting topics that we were able to dive into. Talk about Jordan on the Wizards, and
weird set of topics, but you know what? I like it.
I like it too.
It's us.
Team getting the virus.
Still blows my mind.
Yep, and the Who You Taking segment. But seriously, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in.
It's a buffalo chicken wrap, guys. Just so you know, it's a wrap for today.
That's right. It's a wrap, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Baseline FaceTime podcast. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.